You know, it's curious how small talk is often seen as the appetizer before the main course, a necessary step before getting to what really matters. Meaningful exchanges, genuine connections. After all, that's what we're all looking for, right? But if you put your phone down for a moment and looked around, you'd realize that every interaction, every relationship begins with a casual chat. Even that amazing friendship you have today probably started with something as simple as, "What class are you taking?" or some other equally mundane question. Now, here's an idea that might sound strange. What makes small talk important isn't necessarily the content of what's being said. Most of the time, what truly matters is making the other person feel seen as a real human being, not just a video game character waiting for a command. It's that simple. You don't need a script, tricks, or even a special talent for socializing. The only skill really worth developing here is active observation. Okay, I know this might sound a bit technical, but hear me out. Actively observing means giving your full, genuine attention to the person you're interacting with, as if nothing else exists in that moment. It's not about sensing their energy or aura, but rather noticing concrete details. The clothes they're wearing, the drink they chose, the restless way they keep checking their watch, as if their mind was somewhere else. Picking up on these small signals allows you to make a comment that naturally opens space for a response without forcing anything. That's it. In fact, I could end the explanation right here, but stick with me. I promise it's worth it. So why does this work? First, because people like to feel recognized, not in the sense of, "Wow, you're so deep and mysterious," but in the simple, "Hey, I see that you're here." This is a basic part of our psychology. We all want to be noticed. Second, this approach removes social pressure. Instead of asking intrusive questions like, "What do you do?" or "What are your plans for the future?" you're simply offering a light stimulus and seeing if the other person wants to engage. No pressure, no unrealistic expectations. Here's an example. Imagine you're at a cafe and the person next to you is holding a book. Most people would ask, "What are you reading?" thinking it's the most polite approach. But in reality, that can feel like pressure. You're asking the person to summarize, explain, or justify their choice, which might be uncomfortable. Instead, try something like, "That book looks like it has quite a history." That's it. You've made a neutral yet intriguing observation. Maybe the person laughs and says, "Yeah, I've read it 3 times already." Or they reply, "Actually, it's terrible, but I'm determined to finish it." Either way, you've created an opening for conversation without turning them into an interviewee. Now, imagine you're at a party, which, for an introvert, can feel like a nightmare. Suddenly, someone walks by carrying a plate with something questionable on it. Instead of hiding or ignoring the moment, you say, "Is that chicken? Looks like it had to fight before being served." Once again, you're not asking a direct question, but making a playful comment that invites a light, spontaneous response. The person might laugh and agree, or even defend the mysterious dish. Either way, you've broken the ice effortlessly. The great advantage of active observation is that it can be applied in any context, at work, on dates, in family gatherings, or even in an elevator. It's simple, flexible, and best of all, it takes the pressure off you. You don't need to be extremely charismatic or funny. You just need to pay attention and comment on what you notice. It's that simple. Now that you understand how active observation is all about noticing small details and patterns that most people overlook, what if I told you this same principle could be applied to learning? That's where today's sponsor comes in. Brilliant. Brilliant works like active observation, but for knowledge. Instead of helping you pick up on social cues, it trains you to recognize patterns, solve real-world problems, and develop valuable skills. Whether it's math, programming, data analysis, or even artificial intelligence, Brilliant makes learning interactive and intuitive. No boring lectures or mindless memorization. Here, you learn by doing, with engaging challenges that make everything truly click. And the best part, it fits into your routine effortlessly. Just dedicate a few minutes a day to complete 1 or 2 lessons, and you'll walk away with a real sense of progress. If you enjoy math, you can start from the basics or dive into more advanced topics. If your goal is to learn programming, and I know many of you want to, based on recent comments, Brilliant's Python courses let you start building projects from day one, whether it's games, apps, or just impressing your friends with your new geeky skills. Brilliant gives you all the support you need for that. If you want to take advantage of a 30-day free trial on Brilliant, just go to brilliant.org, some unfiltered guy, or click the first link in the description. You can also scan the QR code on the screen. Plus, if you sign up for the annual premium plan, you get a 20% discount. A huge thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Now, let's see how this applies in real life. The first step is developing the habit of noticing details around you. To do this, you need to disconnect a little. Put away your phone, take out your headphones, and really observe your surroundings as if you were the main character in a detective series. What are people wearing? How are they behaving? Are they restless, checking their watches, scrolling through their phone feeds? Small signals like these can reveal a lot. The second step is to turn your observations into comments. Many people hesitate at this stage because they fear coming across as weird or intrusive. But the truth is, no one is paying as much attention to you as you think. For example, if someone is wearing a bright yellow jacket, you could simply say, "That's a bold color, I like the choice." It doesn't have to be incredibly creative, just a starting point for interaction. Finally, it's essential to get comfortable with silence. Not every observation will lead to a conversation, and that's perfectly fine. The goal isn't to force interactions, but to create opportunities for them to happen naturally. If the other person doesn't want to continue the dialogue, just move on without overthinking it. Over time, this gets easier. You'll realize that small talk isn't about impressing people or proving you're interesting. It's about being present, paying attention, and making others feel noticed. And the most interesting part, people rarely receive this kind of attention. They're so caught up in their own thoughts that when someone truly notices them, it feels like an unusual moment, almost like a glitch in the matrix. This sparks interest because it's unexpected. Here's an example. Imagine you're at a Halloween party, a setting that can be overwhelming for introverts. Suddenly, someone walks in wearing a tie covered in tiny rubber ducks. Most people would ignore it or say something generic like, "Nice tie." But you can do better. Instead, try saying, "Okay, I need to know the story behind these ducks." With this, you turn a seemingly trivial detail into a conversation starter, making the person feel noticed and unique. And this technique works in almost any situation. If you notice someone's shoes, you could joke, "They're way too clean to be comfortable." If you see someone's coffee order, you might comment, "That's a lot of whipped cream for someone who doesn't look like they're celebrating." Even a dog can be a conversation hook. Your dog looks like he's silently judging everyone, and I respect that. The idea isn't to be funny or brilliant, but simply to notice details and turn them into minimally interesting comments. And one important point, be genuine. People can tell when someone is faking interest. If you don't genuinely care, even for just a few minutes, your approach won't have the same effect. Many introverts believe they're bad at small talk because they dislike superficiality. But the truth is, small talk only feels shallow when you're not truly paying attention. If you take the time to observe people, you'll realize that even the simplest topics can reveal something fascinating. Whenever you find yourself in a situation where small talk is inevitable, and let's be honest, that happens all the time, try active observation. Pay attention to something around you, make a comment, and let the conversation flow naturally. You don't have to be the most charismatic person in the room. You just need to be present in the moment. And when this skill becomes natural, something curious happens. Small talk stops feeling like an obligation and turns into a game, a light and interesting game. You start to enjoy noticing details and observing how people react. The worry about what to say fades away because you realize that's not the most important thing. What truly matters is being attentive, connecting, and making others feel seen. That is the real purpose. So, next time you're in line at a coffee shop, observe the person in front of you. How are they dressed? What are they holding? How are they standing? Pick a detail, make a comment, and see how the interaction unfolds. In the worst-case scenario, the person might not respond or seem uncomfortable, and that's okay. You simply move on. In the best-case scenario, you've just created a genuine connection.